When we first spoke about the Bucks Row murder with Watson, he was reading a newspaper, The Star, dated September 1st, 1888, I believe, which mentioned similar murders in the preceding months. I have no chance of finding the police reports, but perhaps I could find some information at the Central News Agency. I must go there at once. Afterwards, I'll go back to see Abraham, the owner of the pet shop in Whitechapel. The second Joseph's statement would lead me to believe that he may know the man spotted on the corner of Church Passage that night. If that's the case, I must find this witness so I can question him.
Hello, this is Chiak. We are back again with another set of Sherlock Holmes versus Chiak the Ripper. So, things to do. We need to head to the news agency, right?
Ah, Bulling is there. It won't hurt just this once.
It won't hurt just this once.
Hello, Mr. Bulling. So, did your colleague tell you about the tip?
What tip?
Ah, I see. I gave him an explosive tip and he went without you? Oh, that's not very sporting on his part. No doubt he took all of the credit for his discovery.
You're winding me up, eh?
I must show Bulling something to make him believe me.
What do you want?
I'm not winding you up. The proof is that he gave me this advance on the debt.
That traitor! He owes me if I find him!
Before I leave, can you do me a favor?
Heck, tell me.
I'm looking for some reliable info on the murders committed in Whitechapel in the months before Polly Nichols' attack.
Reliable? Ha! You really think you'll find that here? Fine. I'll be honest with you. We have folders that group the dispatches from the current year into categories. In the police law category, you'll find the transcripts from the trials and investigations that we sell to the newspapers that ask us.
Perfect.
Sadly, I am out of time. I'll leave you to solve it, eh? You're the detective, aren't you?
Okay, that laugh.
Closed.
Sorry, I just wanted to see.
The dossiers are full of papers in dated envelopes. I can't open them. That would be too obvious. How can I tell which compartment to look in? No categories are indicated.
Okay. I mean... well, right now there's a certain...
An envelope is torn. I can tell that this dispatch contains economic information.
Okay, well, that helps. Economics, where do I see that? Economy. Nothing there. In the world. Inventions, news, and brief oddities? I have no idea.
This compartment was repaired recently.
Okay, what in the world? That doesn't tell me anything.
This compartment was repaired recently.
Yeah, but like that literally does not tell me anything. Personalities repaired recently. What does that even mean? What? Let's just burn it all down. Ah, okay.
This compartment was repaired recently.
So, like that makes no sense to me. That doesn't tell me anything. That's the problem. That's what I don't like about that hint. Like, I don't understand what the compartment's recent repairing has anything to do with society, weather, personality, culture, front page, inventions and science, news and brief oddities, politics, world sports. Like, that means nothing to me. Sometimes I feel like not enough information is given in order to do this. Okay, so we know about the economics information. I'm just curious, how many clues are there actually? Oh, there's more than... Are there actually clues on the desk? Dear Ferdinand, I am confirming my presence on Friday evening at the club. It will be a pleasure because I must get my mind off things or risk falling into a black depression. Just imagine, the new laddie still has the favors of Janet, but she'll end up forgetting him and giving in to me because I am not lacking in ideas to get rid of her suitors. Yesterday, I randomly placed a few inventions in science with politics dispatches. After all, they are always harebrained items. Given that the compartments are one on top of the other, it could have easily passed as one of the new lad's errors. And as anticipated, he was called in by the boss. As soon as I have the chance, I'll show him how, like in the news, everything's in the balance. He looks like a halfwit. He could easily confuse the politics with the society section on his right. Okay, so here's our information. On his right, and this ladder with economy, which is its neighbor. Well, what a lovely mess. I don't know how an intelligent girl like Janet can have a swat like him, but he doesn't have much. He doesn't have much to smile longer. Blah blah blah. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna have to write this down. So, after all, okay, so. Science, politics on top of each other. Let's see. There's something about economics. As soon as I have the chance, I will show him how. Like in the news, he could easily confuse politics with the society section on his right, and this ladder with economy, which is its neighbor. This sentence kind of confused me. He could easily confuse politics with society section on his right, and this ladder Okay, let's go away from this one. Try find another correspondence, I'm assuming. Sir, as for the agency receives numerous dispatches, the filing system that you made appears to be too small, particularly for the world and society section, which cover too much area and overflow into the boxes below. Okay. So world and society are on top. Police, law, and culture respectively. So society and culture are on top of the other, one on top of each other, and world and police likewise as well. Okay. which cover too much area. Would you be able to furnish a device in order to keep only one filing cabinet? Waiting your response. Okay. The blue envelopes from the dispatch compartment contain confidential facts that must not be discussed in the news. As a reminder, they contain the political personalities, essentially the royal families, and economic issues. Okay, so blue is personalities. My dear George, your little brother has had some misfortune. My first week of work was very grueling. First, I was given a spot far from the stove, and I am very cold in the morning. Next, I have to sort through the dispatches, the most tedious and boring work imaginable. Once the work is done, I must take each envelope to the journalist in question, who won't even deign to look at me. Finally, at the end of my third day, the boss called me into his office to give me a sermon. It seems that I mixed up the dispatches. I was so worn out that I could only protest half-heartedly. He gave me a second chance. So now I am in a sticky situation. The only hopeful note comes from my colleague, Miss Filthin, a charming young woman who is the only one to give me a smile. She helps me as much as she can and tries to prompt me regarding which compartments I should put my dispatches. Because everyone here knows the order of the section, but no one has bothered to tell me. The lady has so much compassion and slides me notes such as politics and society on the side. Society on the side. I'm going by the side. I'm going to assume they mean the edge. Politics on the side. Sports underneath economy. Sports under econ. Personalities. Okay, thanks for telling me. I don't know if this is showing up on the computer or not, but I can't get this. This thing won't go away. Thank you. I know that the woman's short skate is about to happen. Oh my god. Okay. This is really unfortunate. Also really annoying. Hold on a sec while I sort this out. Okay, back. So let me come back from that. I don't know if it actually is going to show up in the video or not, but I'm going to say it's a big possibility. Okay, personalities, end of row. But that's the one with the blue envelopes. Front page. First compartment. And these confidences are almost words of love from her mouth. I don't think she likes placing envelopes on the desk at all because she ends up with some thanks that are very disturbing. I have volunteered for the task, much to everyone's displeasure. Nothing new concerning my landlady, but I managed to pay her for the week and she consented to keep me. Don't say anything about my troubles to Mumsy. I don't want to alarm her, but not wanting to lie to her, I have chosen to not write. With warmest regards, your brother Albert. And there was another... Oh. That was just the one there? Okay. So... Blue correspondence? I can see a couple few. At least sports is under economy. Oopsies. Right, that. I didn't say anything about the compartment being different. Personalities is the end of the row. which will make me politics. Sorry, I'm trying to find blue envelopes as the personalities. They also said end of the row. So this is why I'm confused when they say the sides and stuff. World and society is on top. Just gonna randomly place them somewhere. And then police is in the world, and culture is under society. It's under assumption, because that's a blue envelope. Politics and society are possibly side by side? I don't know about that one. That's the one I was too confused with. Oh, there's something about inventions and science. Sports. Oh, see, I can't even read my own writing. That's my main issue right now. The blue envelopes from the dispatch compartment contain confidential. The dispatch compartment contains confidential facts that must not be discussed in news. This dispatch will be retained only to diffuse when Buckingham Palace or the minister gives us authority. Receives numerous dispatches. Filing system appears to be too small, particularly for the world and society section, which cover too much and overflow into the boxes below. Police, law, and culture, respectively. Would you be able to furnish a device in order to keep only one filing cabinet? She'll end up forgiving him, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, I randomly placed a few inventions in science with politics and dispatch. After all, they're always harebrained items. Okay, so it's with the politics, given that the compartments are one on top of the other. Okay, so politics and invention science are one on top of the other. That's the thing I was looking for. It could have easily passed as one of the new lad's errors and anticipated he was called in by the boss. He looks like a halfwit. He could easily confuse politics with society, with the politics with the society section on his right. I don't know about these ones. I haven't heard actually anything about... Oh, I randomly got it. Awesome.
These envelopes contain dispatches of police and judicial cases. Now, I need to open them discreetly. I must try to unglue the openings.
Do you have a steamer? Ah, here you go. Do-do-do-do. Okay, let's get fire started, get some steam going, and then it'll...
I need something. I need something.
No. Thank you.
I need something.
Kindling?
I need something.
Or do you need water?
Closed.
Dying plant. What else is here?
I need something. I need something.
I would say water, but you're refusing to let me do anything else.
I have no reason to go that way.
Okay. Oh, wait. I see.
Water.
Ha, here you go.
I need something.
Fine.
There, that will provide me with steam.
Okay. Matches.
Open, and it looks like I'm in luck. This envelope contains precious information.
Testimony in the Smith affair. Day of inquest, Saturday, April 7th, 1888. Mr. Wynne E. Baxter, the East Middlesex coroner, held an inquiry on Saturday at the London hospital respecting the death of Emma Elizabeth Smith, age 45, a widow, lately living at 18 George Street, Spitalfields, who it was alleged had been murdered. Chief Inspector West of the Division of Police attended for the Commissioners of Police. Mrs. Mary Russell, deputy keeper of a common lodging house, stated that she had known the deceased for about 2 years. On the evening of Bank Holiday, April 2nd, she left home at 7 o'clock and returned for about 4 to 5 the next morning in a dreadful state. Her face and head were much injured, one of her ears nearly being torn off. She told a witness that she had been set upon and robbed of all her money. Witnesses took her to the hospital, and when passing along Osborne, the deceased pointed out the spot where she was assaulted. She said there were 3 men, but she could not describe them. Mr. George Hasleb, house surgeon, stated that when the deceased was admitted to the hospital, she had been drinking but was not intoxicated. She was bleeding from the head and ear and had other injuries of a revolting nature. Witnesses found that she was suffering from rupture of the peritoneum, which had been perforated by some blunt instrument used with great force. The deceased told him that at 1:30 that morning she was passing near Whitechapel Church when she noticed some men coming towards her. She crossed the road to avoid them, but they followed, assaulted her, took all the money she had, and then committed the outrage. She was unable to say what kind of instrument was used, nor could she describe her assailants, except that she said that one was a youth of 19. Death ensued on Wednesday morning through peritonitis set up by the injuries. Margaret Hayes, living at the same address as the deceased, deposed to seeing Mrs. Smith in company with a man at the corner of Ferret Street and Burdett Road. The man was dressed in a dark suit and wore a white silk handkerchief around his neck. He was a medium height, but witness did not think she could identify him. Chief Inspector West, H Division, stated that he had no official information on the subject and was only aware of the case through the daily papers. He had questioned the constable on the beat, but none of them appeared to know anything about the matter. The coroner said that from the medical evidence, which must be true, it was clear that the woman had been barbarously murdered. It was impossible to imagine a more brutal and dastardly assault, and he thought the ends of justice would be better met by the jury recording their verdict at once than by adjourning to some future date in the hopes of having more evidence brought before them. The jury returned a verdict of willful murder against some person or persons unknown. The police are making every possible inquiry to the case, but up to yesterday had not any clue to the persons who committed the outrage. Testimony of tampering case. Yesterday afternoon, Mr. George Collier, the deputy coroner for Southeast Middlesex, resumed the inquiry at the Working Lads Institute, Whitechapel, into the circumstances attending the death of Martha Turner or Tabram, a hawker lately living at 4 Star Place. Okay, I'm not going to read that. Who was discovered early on the morning of Tuesday, the 7th. I don't know what this shorthand is for. Lying dead on the first floor landing of some model dwelling known as George Yard Buildings, Commercial Street, Spitalfields. When found, the woman presented a shocking appearance, there being 39 stab wounds on the body, some of them apparently having been inflicted with a bayonet. Alfred George Crow, cab driver 35, deposed that he got home at 3:30 on Tuesday morning as he was passing the first floor landing as he saw a body lying on the ground. He took no notice as he was accustomed to seeing people lying about there. He did not then know whether the person was alive or dead. He got up at 9:30 and when he went down to the staircase, the body was not there. Witnesses heard no noise while he was in bed. Police constable said that last witness called his attention to the body of the deceased. He sent for a doctor who pronounced life extinction. This doctor said that he called to the deceased and found her dead. 39 stab wounds, dead for some 3 hours, age 36, body very well nourished. Witness since made a post-mortem examination of body. The left lung penetrated in 5 places and right lung was penetrated in 2 places. The heart was penetrated in 1 and would be sufficient to cause death. Liver was penetrated in 5 places. Spleen penetrated in 2. Stomach in 6 places. The witness did not think all the wounds were inflicted with the same instrument. Wounds generally might have been inflicted by knife, but such an instrument would have inflicted one of the wounds which went through the chest bone. His opinion was that one of the wounds was inflicted by some kind of dagger and that all of them were caused during life. Henry, 6 years old, husband, this is his, sorry, not 6 years old. That's his address, I guess. A husband of deceased woman said he last saw her alive about 18 months ago in Whitechapel Road. They had been separated for 13 years owing to her drinking habits. She obtained a warrant against him for some part of the time. Witness allowed her something weeks, but in consequence of her annoyance, he stopped this allowance 10 years ago, since which time had made half a crown a week. He had found she was living with a man. Henry Turner, carpenter, staying at working man's home. He'd been living with a woman, Tabram, as his wife for about 9 years. 2-3 weeks previously to this occurrence, he ceased to do so. He had left her on 2 or 3 occasions in consequence of her drinking habits, but they had come together again. Last saw her alive on Saturday in blah 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 street. He then gave her to get some stock. When she had money, she spent it in drink while living with witness. Deceased's usual time for coming home was about 11 o'clock. As far as he knew, she had no regular companion, and he did not know that she walked the streets. As a rule, he said, a man of sober habits, and when the deceased was sober, they usually got on well together. Oh my god, so much to read. Mary Bosefield, wife of woodcutter, residing at 4-Star Place, Commercial Road, knew deceased by name of Turner. She was formerly a lodger in her house with the man Turner. Deceased would rather have a glass of ale than a cup of tea, but she was not a woman who got continually drunk, and she never brought home any companions with her. She left without giving notice and owed 2 weeks' rent. Mary Ann Connolly, Pearlie Paul, who at the suggestion of Inspector Reed was cautioned in the usual manner before being sworn, stated she had been for the last 2 nights living at the lodging house in Dorset Street. Witness was a single woman, known Tabram for about 4 or 5 months, knew her by name of Emma, last saw her alive bank holiday night. Witness was with her about 3/4 of an hour and they separated at 11:45. Witness was with Tabram and 2 soldiers, 1 private and 1 corporal. 2 did not know what the regiment they belonged to, but they had white bands around their caps. After they separated, Tabram went away with the private, and witnesses accompanied the corporal up Angel Alley. There was no quarreling between any of them. Witness had been to barracks to identify a soldier, and the 2 men she picked out were, to the best of her belief, the men she and Tabram were with. The men at the Willington barracks were paraded before witnesses. One of the men picked out by witness turned out not to be a corporal, but he had stripes on his arms. Detective Inspector Reed made a statement of efforts made by the police to discover the perpetrator of the murder. Several persons had stated that they saw the deceased woman on the previous Sunday with a corporal, but when all the corporals and privates at the Tower and Wellington barracks were paraded before them. They failed to identify the man. The military authorities afforded every facility to the police. Pearlie Paul picked out 2 men belonging to the Coldstream Guards at the Wellington Barracks. One of these men had 3 good conduct strikes, and he was proved beyond doubt to have been his wife from 8 o'clock on the Monday night until 6 o'clock the following morning. The other man was also to prove to have been in the barracks at 5 minutes past 10 on bank holiday. The police would be pleased if anyone would give information. This coroner, in summing up, said that the crime was one of the most brutal that had occurred for some years. For a poor defenseless woman to be outraged and stabbed in the manner which this woman had been was almost beyond belief. They could only come to one conclusion, and that was that the deceased was brutally and cruelly murdered. The jury returned a verdict of willful murder against some person or persons unknown.
The information excludes the murder of the first woman, Miss Smith. Jack the Ripper can't be the author of that crime. On the other hand, there are enough similarities to suggest he may be the killer of Martha Tabram. I must go to the pet shop.
We're just going to leave this kettle on.
I must go to the pet shop.
I really don't know how
Closed
much.
until further notice. Abraham isn't there. No luck.
Beep beep.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Do you know why Mr. Solomonovich's shop is closed?
No, I don't. Perhaps his cousin, the cobbler, knows. But I believe the police came to take his animals. I think that might have something to do with it.
When was this?
During the day. The kids you were with the other day were there, they told me. They just came by to ask for some cat's meat. They didn't have any money, but I gave them some anyway. Ah.
Okay.
Is something wrong?
It's just that there was a little girl with them, the same age as mine. My little girl who went away with her mother, with the angels into the sky.
Dr. Watson told me about your loss. Please accept my condolences. Would you like to talk about it? How did it happen?
The illness, sir. My poor little girl was in agony, and her face and body were ravaged by the disease.
Her face?
Yes, she looked like a ghost.
What illness was it?
Dr. Gibbons tried to explain when I took my little girl to see him, but I didn't understand. I'm sure that he was trying to insinuate it was my fault. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I understand. Farewell. Let's go and see Dr. Gibbons.
Dr. Gibbons, who has blonde hair, who will... Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I actually don't know how old you are.
Hello, Doctor. Do you remember me? I'm Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson's friend.
Oh, yes. Excuse the mess, but I am doing a bit of tidying.
Crane, you seem... I don't know. I mean, unless your clinic closes...
I have come to see you about a Mr. Hardyman, a cat food seller by trade who recently lost his daughter and wife.
Yes, I know him. A tragic story.
Actually, I was hoping you could tell me about the disease that took his daughter, a disease that would have attacked her face.
Well, to keep it short, we are speaking of syphilis, Mr. Holmes. You must certainly know that it is transmitted through intimate connections and that the vast prostitute population here contributes to its inevitable progression. It destroys individuals by spreading through the body slowly. The most obvious symptoms can be found in the genitalia and on the face in the form of pustules or lesions. Sometimes this illness can destroy whole families. The father catches it from a prostitute, he transmits it to his wife, who in her turn passes it to the kids which she bears or nurses. These cases are numerous in the vicinity. Certain children, and this is the case of the little girl whom I won't name, suffer from an emaciation of the face which will, apart from predicting an imminent death, bring infamy upon the family.
Emaciation of the face?
Yes, what we sometimes call the pox. I will give you a photograph. One cannot be mistaken on the origin of such a face. The eyes seem to be void of lids, the nose is inexistent as if it was cut off, and the cheeks are chiselled as if cut with a knife. This loss of facial matter, this emaciation, is in this area often the gift from a father to his children.
Can I keep this photograph?
I should destroy it, but if it can remind you that one must sometimes think twice before giving in to physical attraction.
I always seem to find myself alone in such cases. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, I'm going to end the set here. But thank you for liking if you liked. Thank you for commenting if you commented. Thank you for subscribing if you subscribed. Thank you for favoriting if you favorited. Thank you for simply clicking on this video. Until next time, guys. See ya!